Back in 2007, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is a horribly painful, supremely embarrassing, and most importantly, incurable disease. At the time, I was about 30 pounds heavier than I am now, incredibly weak, in pain pretty much every day, and spending an enormous amount of time in hospitals. After extensive tests, the doctors performed colonoscopies, which are not that fun, barium transport studies, blood work, and they determined that I had severe Crohn's spread throughout my small and large intestines and parts of my stomach. It seemed every time I went to the doctor after that, there was something else wrong. The next time, my liver seemed to be failing, and the time after that, I was developing kidney stones. My body was shutting down. Worse than that, it was giving up, and worse than that, I was giving up. I was quitting on myself before I even got out of bed in the morning. Within a couple months after the diagnosis, I was taking 16 pills a day, including systemic steroids and a drug called 6-MP. Systemic steroids were turning me into an irritable lunatic, and I was up 5 times a night to go to the bathroom. 6-MP was originally developed as a leukemia drug, so it was essentially like being on chemotherapy. For 6 months, I was throwing up every day, and my hair started thinning. For that, I was put on Propecia, which destroyed my libido and had me so emotional that any time a commercial with a baby or a puppy came on, I'd shed a tear or two. Now, this emotional and physical beatdown could not have come at a worse time in my life because I was just at the beginning stages of a very serious relationship with a girl I'd known since I was 7, named Anna. See, that's the problem with diseases like Crohn's and many others. They have a real knack at hampering your social agenda. Nobody wants to talk about their having to go to the bathroom every 10 minutes or the pain that they're feeling. So unfortunately, these diseases usually go undiagnosed for years. And by the time people figure out what's going on, they'll turn to the most conventional treatments, which may work, but usually have some horrible side effect. So after one particularly terrifying night in the hospital, where I literally thought I was going to die, I had an epiphany. My body was broken, clearly, and needed some serious tinkering. I had an absolutely amazing doctor who I love, and he did everything he could for me, but now it was my turn to take over. Anna, by then my wife and a yoga instructor, turned me on to the practice of yoga, where I found that the twists massaged my internal organs, the inversions invigorated my nervous system, and the overall practice calmed me. I also had to look at nutrition. We needed to reboot my body. I went completely vegetarian for 3 months, which was crazy because at the time we thought that iceberg lettuce was the first thing that put me in the hospital. And as such, I hadn't had greens in over 2 years. But suddenly, I was eating hearty foods like kale and mustard greens and enjoying quinoa and millet. I replaced milk with almond milk and butter with olive oil. I tried experimenting with dozens of supplements, everything from North Atlantic krill oil to Amazonian cat's claw. I became an EMT and also a yoga instructor in order to deepen my knowledge of the human body. See, I'd been in so much pain for so long and become so angry with my body. It wasn't enough to just beat the disease. I had to scare my body into submission so it would never try something like this again. I turned to extremes, and by that I mean endurance sports. Basically, Crohn's was the hardest thing I'd ever dealt with in my entire life, and the plus side of that is that it gave me perspective. I never sweat the small stuff anymore after that. But now I needed something even harder on my body in order to give me perspective on my disease. So my first training run ended after 3 miserable blocks and a heap of gasping curses. But I kept at it. I started testing myself in every way I could think of, from lactic acid thresholds to genetics and even dual X-ray absorptiometry just to benchmark what I was doing. But pretty soon, I was doing 3,000-meter sprints, intervals in the pool, and 5-hour bike rides. In January of last year, I stopped taking my medicine completely. And in June, I competed in the Mighty Montauk Olympic distance triathlon with a goal of finishing it in 3 hours or less. But I really just wanted to finish it. I did finish it in just over 2 hours and 37 minutes. A couple months after that, I went back to my doctor for some testing. Now remember, Crohn's is an incurable disease. But I got this letter from my doctor essentially saying that they could no longer find any evidence of the disease in my body. Now, every day, I feel stronger and healthier than ever before, even before I got sick. Last month, I finished the New Orleans half Ironman, and next month I'm going to Ironman France. What I've done is replicable for other people and for other illnesses. I believe that our bodies are machines like any other, and with the right tinkering, noodling, and obsessing, we can overcome the insurmountable. Thank you.